Salve, salve galera, chegando aqui com mais uma entrevista especialíssima no estúdio do Motorsport.com nas 6 horas de São Paulo. Um oferecimento I Love Prio, Prio, energia humana, gera energia. Estou aqui na companhia de Felipe Motta, apresentador dos canais ESPN, e recebendo Mick Schumacher, piloto da Alpine no Campeonato Mundial de Endurance, classe Hypercar. Mick, very nice to have you with us. I'd like to ask you about your third time in Brazil, is that right?
That's
As a
correct.
driver.
Yes.
So expectations for the event, the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, expectations obviously are a bit heightened after, I think, our performance in Le Mans in terms of speed. We were quite competitive. Unfortunately, obviously, the engine didn't last as long as we wanted it to, but I think that the speed was there and that's what counts. So now here in Brazil, one of my favorite tracks, I think definitely on the top 3 list for me. Just going in with a good feeling already, and hopefully with FP3 to come tomorrow, we'll be able to fine-tune everything and then get into it.
Top 3 list overall, WEC calendar, Formula 1 including?
Overall.
Okay.
Yeah. What makes Interlagos special for you?
I think everything has a sense and a meaning in terms of corners. Everything flows really well. You really know that they've put some thought into the track, and that's what I really like. And obviously the history of it is just amazing. So every time that I come here and I drive here, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's interesting to know that Interlagos is special for you because you are one of the big names of this event. How do you feel the public in Brazil embracing your presence here, Mick? Because you have a lot of fans here.
I think that overall, I found that the fans are very special here. Like when I was here with Formula 1, you know, you could just see how supportive they are of every driver. They were screaming every driver's name that was walking past in that time, and I think that just shows the culture, but it shows also the passion for motorsport, and that's something that is very unique, very special to Brazil, and obviously they're very emotional, so it's very extra nice when you walk through the paddock and you see that fans are here already on a Friday and enjoying the racing and enjoying the testing of the cars.
Today here we interview Felipe Nasser, former F1 driver, Daniel Kvyat, and we asked them how it was, move the career from F1 to endurance, and they are really happy. They really switch to work with the endurance. How are you in this sense? In happiness, how you feel? Are you 100% adapted?
I think I've never made a secret of it that my goal is to come back to Formula 1. That has always been the case. That was always going to be, from the beginning of the season, the plan. So for me, I never 100% switched, if that makes sense.
Okay, yes.
So to me, I really keep it separate.
Which doesn't mean you're not focused on your
Exactly.
WEC commitment.
No. What I was going to say is that basically have a switch where whenever I'm at a Formula 1 event, this is what I do. That's all I do, focusing on Formula 1. But when I come to WEC, that's all I do when I come to here. And I race and I drive, and I also, the mindset is very different. Formula 1, it's maybe a bit more selfish. Here, it's a bit more inclusive, trying to obviously work together as a team, as drivers, and sharing and trying to figure out what can we do and what compromises do we need to take to make the car as fast as possible for us.
And in terms of F1, you are driving for Alpine. Is there any conversations with the brand in order to drive in F1 next year? How does that work for you in this moment specifically?
Yes, we had a test where I drove an afternoon in Paul Ricard. The next steps are waiting to see what is going to happen, and there are a lot of points included in that are to be regarded before making any decisions on both sides.
Did you have a test also with McLaren?
So I was called up as a reserve driver because I am a reserve driver for McLaren as well as for Mercedes and Williams, and they called up my duty on Tuesday this week actually, where I was doing the Pirelli.
And flew to Brazil.
Pretty much. To do the Pirelli test day for them. Unfortunately, the weather didn't quite play with us. It was either too dry for wets or too wet for dries, so it kind of always was a bit of a mix. but nonetheless, it was great to have the experience in a 24 machinery and get to do more laps than what I've already done this year.
Was it your first experience with 24 machinery in Formula 1?
Yes.
Yes, the Alpine cars were 2022.
So all cars that I run in TPC are 2 years old.
Okay, fine. You had another question?
Yeah, but I think our time, just the last one, the football. I called Felipe Motta and he said, Mickey really loves football, maybe to play, not to support.
Yeah.
As a kid and so on.
Tell your connection with football. To play, like you don't have club.
No, I mean, as a kid, I did play in a club actually, but I do have a charity match that normally was running every year. Now with COVID, and since COVID, it has been a bit more difficult to get it to running. But it's Champions for Charity, which we do with Dirk Nowitzki. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to do it again.
I'm a big fan of Dirk. Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. So
just a fan or a friend as well, Mick?
well, I mean, like I really like him. He's a super giant, gentle giant.
Yes.
Which is amazing, and he's such a nice and kind person. So I'm really excited to see him again and hopefully play some soccer again with him.
And apart from any ties to football, what do you like the most in Brazil, if we can say so? Because there's the track. You said your top three, maybe. Food, music. What else?
Food, 100%.
Churrasco, the meat from Brazil.
Yes, churrascaria.
So
coming with the knife cutting. We actually went yesterday with the team, so it was really good.
already the first day. So you get here and then
straight in. Yes.
Any other questions? We have a little bit more of time, but just to know, how is the season working so far in terms of developing the hypercar for Alpine, Mick? In terms of, getting closer to the front runners and, being competitive. You talked about the experience in Le Mans. How would you, I would say, sum up the season and the targets for the second half of the season?
I mean, development, there's no much development in the sense that we can't change any parts on the car. The only thing we are allowed to is for reliability or setup. So that's what we're working on. That's what we're focusing on. So trying to just maximize the conditions on the car for the track that we're at. That meaning systems, setups, how do we use the tires, how do we use the blanking of the brakes to obviously affect all these parameters.
Did you have any previous experience with LMP1 cars or directly to the hypercars?
Yeah, directly into the hypercar, yeah.
And
I heard the LMP1s were pretty fun to drive.
Yeah, all of the old, let's put it that way, WEC drivers say that. But adapting from F1 to hypercar, is it okay for you in terms of driving it?
I mean, I kind of try and do the split. So one thing is F1 and one thing is WEC. So whenever
when I came of the car,
So when I came to WEC, what I did was I kind of tried to start on a fresh sheet.
Okay.
Started to learn from scratch, basically, not try and bring anything necessarily over from Formula 1 because I know that it wouldn't work. Because frankly, hypercar is a bit closer to GTs than it used to be with LMP1. And therefore, you have to have a different approach to what I'm used to.
I have the last question between the connection with Brazil. You mentioned Interlagos as a very traditional track, and you have a lot of familiar names. I mentioned Massa, we have Ayrton Senna, a statue here, and Nelson Piquet, and Rubens Barrichello. What comes? You mentioned Dirk Nowitzki can be even a Brazilian in other sports. But what is your connection with Brazil in your life? Watching TV or
apart from the food,
or even these big names.
I mean, I as a kid I used to watch this movie Rio. With the birds.
Yes.
Arara.
The live action.
The
birds,
Disney movie basically.
Yeah,
I really loved it. And I think that's kind of where that real big passion also for Brazil kind of grew with, and you have that super nice view of it, and I'm very close to animals. I love animals, and so therefore you have a lot of them here. You have the Amazonas, which is amazing, and so there are definitely a huge amount of connections that I do that kind of tend to have to Brazil. I mean, I've also over the time that I've spent in professional racing, but also overall going to different professional sports people. Met a couple of Brazilian surfers, for example, that I know pretty well. So or well enough, let's say, to go out for a surf together, which is really nice. So I really enjoy that, and I think the country is amazing. It's bigger than most people think, and it's you have a bit of everything, which is just great. So
Mick, just to finish, as I said, you have a quite big fan base here in Brazil, back from your Formula 2 days, actually. So if you have a message to your fan base, go ahead.
No, I mean, thank you for always supporting me. Obviously, tough times at the moment with not quite being back in Formula 1 as early as we wanted to be. But on the other hand, everybody knows, I guess, that's what I'm fighting for, and hopefully I'll be able to be back on the grid soon. Have you guys cheer me on and be able to spend a lot more time here.
Thanks a lot, Mick, and that's it, guys. Entrevista especial com o Mick Schumacher na cobertura aqui das 6 horas de São Paulo, estúdio motorsport.com, oferecimento Prio, e a gente se vê na próxima. Tchau, tchau.